Welcome back, everyone. Here we are. This is the second day of the WGL APAC-ASIA Gold Series League. My name is Susie Kim, this is Will Schroeder, and we are here to bring you some more tanks today.
That's right, it's our second day, as you just mentioned, of this league. And today it's going to be really classic because we're bringing all the teams from last season, basically all the teams that we have staying on, going to the second season are actually playing today. So, it's going to be a little bit more of what you expected to see skill-wise, I guess, from what we saw last season than what we saw last week on Thursday, where we had two totally new teams try to prove themselves.
Even though we had totally new teams, and even though we do have all the same teams, just in case you guys don't know, we are on the Tier 10 meta right now. We're going to go ahead and talk about that in just a second. Here is the overview of the league, just in case you guys are now tuning in. Now, if you take a look at this overview, we started, like we said, on Thursday. That was November 26th, and we'll go all the way into February. The tournament structure is a best of 9, which means it's 4 maps, 2 games on each map, and then a final map for the tiebreaker, basically, 8-team double round robin.
That's right, and the total tier points for this format is going to be 68, like mentioned before. We are allowing all tanks to be used in this league. You can go up to tier 10. So every tank that you can actually have in the game, you can now use in competitive play. We have a few new maps as well, as you guys could see, Cliff, Buravanka, Borovka as well. New maps, and we're going to see new strategies. The point system is the same as it was last year. It's going to be double round robin, 3 points for a win, 2 points for winning by tie, 1 point if you lose on that tiebreaker, you get that consolation point, and then if you lose straight up, you don't get anything.
Right, and basically it's the same as last season, the only difference being that we have 68 points to allocate for your tanks, which means tier 10 tanks are allowed, and that makes a big difference.
Another thing is we also have an increased timer. That's the other thing that changed is with our tier 10s, we're going with that 10 theme, and we're going to put the timer up to 10 minutes for attack defense.
All right, well, first off, let's go ahead and introduce to you who's going to be playing first tonight. Here are the teams. First, we have EL Gaming. Now, EL Gaming, like I said, and Horsemen, Super Noobs, Immortals, Karen Tiger, PvP, Super Friends, Team Efficiency, and B Gaming. And the two new teams would be the Super Noobs and the Super Friends. They're
That's
super.
Right. Yeah, and Run and TCSG got dropped down because of performance last season, so won't be seeing them anymore. We will miss them, but we'll maybe see them next time if they requalify for Gold League. But yeah, 8 great teams. Some of them we're very familiar with already, and EL Gaming has shown us even already just last week they are looking very dominant. And I think they're the favorites. They're the defending champions. They're the best team in Asia. But even already we saw Super Noobs put a dent in them. They showed they were not invincible.
That is very true. Coming into it, this was the first game we saw from Super Noobs, and they were able to take a couple maps off of EL Gaming, and I thought that was something. I feel like this season, this Gold Series is going to be a lot tougher in terms of competition for these teams.
Yeah, have to agree with you there, Susie. I also am really curious to see how the old teams that were kind of on the middle of the road when it comes to points and qualifications are going to do. How much have they improved? Maybe the format favors them. For example, like a team like Team Efficiency or Horsemen, are they going to do better because they're better with tier 10 tanks? We just didn't get to see that from them. It's a good question.
It is a really good question, but let's go into today's matchups. So today is the second day, like we said. We have EL Gaming. They're playing twice tonight, actually. EL Gaming versus Team Efficiency, the team from Australia. Then we have Karen Tigers versus B Gaming, 2 teams from Japan. Karen Tigers also, I think they ended second place last season. And they're a very strong team. I wanted to see if they have a similar roster coming in as strong as they were. And the last one is the Immortals versus EL Gaming.
Which one is your favorite of those 3, actually, would you say?
I'm going to go with the Karen Tigers versus B Gaming.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say that, too.
Yeah, because last season, first day, actually, they had played against each other as well. And these two teams, being that they're both from Japan, you would assume that they practice together, right? You would assume that they kind of know each other's play styles very well. And so kind of get into each other's heads, I guess. I feel like that's going to be the highlight of tonight.
I feel like there's definitely some unspoken rivalry between the two teams as well, because they're from the same region trying to prove they're the best team in Japan, which does have a big World of Tanks scene there. So I feel like when you watch these teams play, I feel like even though we can't see it on their faces, you can feel that tension. We even had them last season, at the very beginning of the season when they played against each other, go all the way to tiebreaker, which is very rare, actually, in the WGL leagues to have those matches go to tiebreakers.
Definitely. So. I mean, it was surprising. Like I said, they're very close in skill. Later on in the season, Karen Tigers did come out stronger, but we'll have to wait and see if B Gaming have stepped up their game a bit. But first, let's talk about the first set. EL Gaming versus Team Efficiency. Here's the roster for EL Gaming for this season, and it looks like everybody is the same.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if we ever even saw Shadows at all last season. He might be a new face, but either way, all the big names are there. All the names that you expect to see in this lineup. You know, when you see Fox, Reflection, Guanran, Black, Nice, Spring, Newman as well. Those players that you saw make the big plays last season, they're all still here. They didn't lose any great players. And I can imagine that these players are just working together, practicing day and night to figure out the new meta, the tier 10s that we're seeing in this tournament.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we got to see a little bit of their play. Reflection still being on point, as well as Black and Spring too. Yeah, it's just good to see. They did so well last season. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And some of these players, like if we want to talk about them a little bit more specifically, Guanran is great on that. In this case, he's going to be on the tier 8 or the tier 9 tank most of the time. He's a great SPG player. Reflection as well, great on the SPG. Fox and Black, usually the players that were playing on the T32 tanks last season. So the support type tanks.
All right, well, let's go ahead and introduce to you Team Efficiency. Now, this is another team that was with us last season in season number 1. And you know what? There's a couple new names on this roster.
That's right. We haven't seen, for example, Safi at all. Skell is a new player. Spawnster, yeah, these guys are new. But, the classics are still there. Dexta, Djus, Elite, Idis, these players that we've seen a million times. Ma, Grift, someone that we saw most of the time as well. So, this team does feel familiar, but I'm very excited to see what some of these new players might potentially do.
Maybe they're just trolling us and it's actually not new players, but the same guys with different IDs.
Could be, actually. We would never know.
Whatever it is, I'm sure, they've had an entire offseason to practice, and now they are back, and I am really excited to see how they're going to do. Their first opponent being, of course, EL Gaming. That's got to be quite a challenge.
It definitely will be, but I think it's going to be one of those things where every time you see a team go up against EL Gaming, even if they lose, how many maps they take or how strong they look is pretty indicative of their overall skill level, because you're going up against the best of the best. It's like setting the bar the highest for your first game to prove yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's a really, really good thing. So, yeah, first set already proving to be something super exciting, especially for us and for you guys who have been following Team Efficiency all throughout Season 1. Can they come back and finish higher than they did last time?
That's the hope, for the Team Efficiency fans. Can they actually outdo themselves from what they did last season? They're a team from Australia, which is really cool, and obviously everyone kind of works together. They're not like some of our other teams, TCSG and Run, where they were kind of just a bit Hail Mary. They're definitely a very coordinated team. And even last season, at the beginning of the season, I looked at this team and I was like, this team could actually go to the playoffs. This team is really good. They work together very well. They seem to be very friendly as well. They every now and then reach out to us on Twitter and stuff like that. Really cool team, and I hope them well. It's just a tough first opponent, like you said.
Yeah. All right, well, you know what? We have an 8-map pool, and I think the picks and bans are done. We are going into Steps first, then Cliff, Himmelsdorf, and Ruinberg. And remember, it's 2 games on each of these maps, an attack and defense for each of the teams. And just in case we do go to a tiebreaker, it's going to be on mines.
That's right. So, basically, just to kind of sum up the format change, it's now only just 1 attack and 1 defense for each map. 4 maps instead of 2. Potentially 5 maps, of course, with that tiebreaker, but a very different format. So we're going to see a lot of different strategies and different styles in every single match that we have here. It's not just we're going to see how 2 teams play on 2 maps specifically. A lot more depth can be shown, a lot more versatility.
Also, I think it also allows teams to kind of hide their strategy, because if you play 2 attack or 2 defense on one given map, it makes it so much easier for your opponent to study your strategies and the way that you play. And so it's kind of a good format for teams to really kind of show a one-time thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also sometimes we can see teams do almost like a throwaway strategy if they don't want to show any strategies if they're already in the lead. We saw that already from EO Gaming, did like a rush strategy on steps, I think it was, where it's like, okay, this is not a great strat, but it might get them a win. Even if they lose, it's okay. They don't show any more strategies, and they just move on to the next map.
All right. Well, we're going to introduce to you our very first map. It's going to be on steps, and if you will look with me on this beautiful this little video here.
Yeah, this is obviously one of our most open maps in the pool. I'd say probably is the most open map in the pool. And it's a map where mobility is important. Positioning, of course, is important as well. With the new format that we have here for this tournament with the Tier 10 tanks, there are no lightweight tanks really that are going to make their way into the list. So that means it's a bit slower than what we saw in the past. And this is one of those maps where anything goes. You can have a composition designed to rush in and brawl with your opponent's team and fight them at the capture point. You can have a composition that's designed to slow play towards one of the capture points. The rotations that we saw last season, though, probably not going to happen as often, even though we have more time, just simply because the tanks are slower.
Yeah. I mean, we have been seeing the T-54s, which is kind of the upgraded version of the lightweights that we have been very familiar with here. And like you said, the two capture points, defense on top. We did see them use a very tried and true strategy before on Thursday. We saw teams go ahead and line up against the northern side of the map. We're going to have to see if they'll do that again. Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. And curious to see if we're going to see that pushed tank up the mountain strategy. Doesn't seem to be that popular in the new meta, but we'll see if that makes a comeback, because that was always a really fun one to watch.
It was fun, and also Tier 10 tanks are stronger, so I would assume that they'd be able to do it with ease this time,
Maybe even a little bit faster than before. I guess maybe getting down off the mountain might cause some problems for those newer tanks. We haven't seen that interaction yet, so I guess we'll have to wait and see if that in fact does come up. We didn't even see that strategy till like halfway through the season last season anyways, so those kinds of things do kind of pop in and pop out of the meta.
And I mean, a lot of these players do watch the European scene, they watch the Russian scene, and kind of get ideas from one another as well. And so, yeah, exciting
times. I mean, this is basically a new game now. I mean, obviously for you guys who play at home, it's not a new game. It's just what you experience at home when you play with your friends or just, online, playing ranked play or whatever. With the tanks that you own is now, it can be matched. If you're a person who loves Tier 10 tanks, you're no longer limited. I mean, you don't have to stop at Tier 8.
Right.
As much as I did really enjoy that format a lot, I'm excited to see something totally new.
Well, I mean, it's Tier 10, more firepower, right? And so we see the way one shot really taking down and chipping off that HP. Like, if you can get some of those shots dead on, does a lot more damage than we have seen with the Tier 8s. And so that's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, it definitely will be. I mean, there's a lot more potential for tanks to just simply be blown up, especially if you have a Tier 8 that sneaks into the roster, right, with your 68 limit, and a Tier 10 tank hits it right on the number, like an AMX 1390 we saw, then it's just going to get obliterated, and that's always really, really fun to see.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like everyone is getting ready in the lobby right now. I think we are going to get ready for game number 1 here on Steps. All right, everyone, welcome to the Monday Night Rumble. This is EL Gaming versus Team Efficiency, set number 1 in EL Gaming on the attack first.
So let's take a look at these tank lists. I actually have a huge variation here in styles between these two teams. We're going to see the Object 140 tanks be used by EL Gaming primarily. They're running 6 of them and only one 25-ton. But on the other side of things, Team Efficiency is running almost all 25 tons, so they're going to have a ton of auto-loader damage, and they're going to basically light this place up like fireworks when they encounter EL Gaming. But they kind of are on a timer. They need to actually eliminate tanks quickly because the longevity of this composition they have is not solid. So if they start to lose the fight or if they don't get a lot of momentum, then that's going to be a big problem. And it looks like EO Gaming's kind of already identified this. They're setting up an insanely defensive formation, even though they're on the attack, because they see the tanks of Team Efficiency and they're like, oh, they're running those 25 tons, so they just want to fight us.
Yeah, I was just about to say, usually with all this firepower, you would go in a more defensive stance. Here we can see Team Efficiency, they are just going to go straight for it. I don't think they want to wait for EL Gaming to come to them. They're going to try to take all, wow. Sorry, look at that ricochet already. They're getting shot at. They're just going to take their tanks and try to eliminate them before they could do anything.
It looks like they wanted to kind of set a trap for the normal attack route to the west, but EL is onto this from the beginning. They've done their homework, and they're actually now going to just set up very defensively, using black at the front to spot as well as kind of absorb some of this damage. Now moving around with those Object 140s, just around the west here, and moving in, trying to find an angle here. The Maw is very low, but still survives.
Yes, he does. Okay, we can see that EL Gaming, they're going to push all together, all of these Object 140s together. They're going to just try to see if they can beat Team Efficiency in their own game. They try to focus fire, and focus fire they do. Skell goes down pretty low.
Yeah, down to 242 hit points. He and Maw are one shot away from death. And again, these are just better trades that we're seeing here from EL Gaming. And don't forget that, you know, they're all Object 140, so they don't have to worry about how many rounds they have left.
Right, and here we go. Safi, I think, is going to be trapped here. The Object 140s are just going to come in and try to finish this off. But there is Dexter, who is trying to do cover fire for Safi. Newman does go down. Both members of Team Efficiency. Oh, Dexter does go down. Safi does go down. I was going to say, they did last a lot longer than I expected them to.
Yeah, but as you can see, the longevity of this comp starts to wear away, and the Object 140s are just more durable in this kind of fight. And they had a better position. They had the advantage. And it looks like Team Efficiency is now going to be whittled down here in game number 1.
Yeah, you could see all the 25 tons just kind of waiting to reload. They have nothing. He's going to run away. Idis, even if you run, dude, I don't think that's going to help.
He can run, but he can't hide.
No, he
Susie
cannot, and he is done. EL Gaming goes ahead and takes a very quick game number 1.
Fastest game of this tournament so far, I have to say. Well, it's funny because Team Efficiency was basically trying to give EL Gaming a little bit of their own medicine, because we saw EL Gaming kind of make this roaming, very quick attacking brawl type meta last season, and of course in previous seasons outside of Gold Series. But we're seeing now that Team Efficiency was the one that wanted to be aggressive. And if you want to put this in terms of last season, those tanks that are running, the 25 tons are really similar to the 1390. So, you know, they don't have that much armor, but they do a lot of autoloader damage. But obviously the object, the object tanks are going to last a lot longer in a fight, and you don't have to worry about how many rounds you have left or reloading or anything like that. And their positioning was better as well. They expected, as soon as they saw the tank list, they expected a big attack like that, and they got what they wanted. I
mean, those 25 tons, 5 rounds, and then a 40-second reload, give or take 40 seconds. And once you're out, and there's really nothing you can do.
If you win the fight early, like if you take out 2 tanks, that's kind of what the comp is designed for. You blow up 2 tanks really fast, you focus fire them down perfectly, and then you have a 7v5 fight and you win the fight eventually.
Right.
But in this case, EL didn't let them do that because they were just basically hiding behind all the rocks. And then they sneaked around the side and came up behind and caught a few of those tanks off guard, including Skell, who took a lot of damage early on. So when you take that much damage early, then you have to take a more defensive position, and you can't use that burst damage that you built in that composition.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was the smartest thing for them to do, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah.
But now they are on the attack, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a similar composition again, and now this time trying to get in there and attack them. EL could just be in a different position.
Yeah, I wonder if Team Efficiency is just saying, you know, this is not something they'll expect from us on this map, because it's kind of like their style. We're trying to beat them at what they're best at, so they won't see it coming. But EL definitely saw that coming. Now, I think if we see the same sort of strategy from Team Efficiency here again, I think it's basically them just showing a lot of respect to EL and saying, we can't beat them in a straight-up positioning fight. Maybe we can catch them off guard. If we lose, it's okay. We've got 4 maps in this new format. We just move on to map 2.
All right. Well, it looks like map 2 is ready, so we're going to go ahead and see if they pick the same tanks or not. All right, guys, here we go. EL Gaming versus Team Efficiency. Set number 2. EL Gaming is up 1, and now they are on the defense. And as we expected, it looks like Team Efficiency is exactly the same.
That's right. And what to point out about EL Gaming's tank list is they actually are running 2 T-54s, T-54 mediums, mind you. Don't confuse it with a T-54 lightweight, which D-Juice is actually running, one of those older tanks from the old meta, that Tier 8. But with these 2 T-54s, obviously they're looking to fight again, and I think they're just expecting Team Efficiency to do what they are doing, With the lightweight tank, D-Juice can actually spot a little bit better. So I think that's the idea behind it, but obviously it's not going to be there for you in a fight. It's pretty weak and it's already taken some damage.
All right, already both teams, if you look on the mini-map, you can see they have grouped all together. They're just going to go and full-on brawl with each other. Safi already goes down. Black is down very low. He goes down as well. Team Efficiency is trying to beat them at their own game once more.
Yeah, and look at this. This is a great shot here that we got from our observer. That's the 25 ton, the only one they have, is putting off so much damage, protected by the Object 140s. And the focus fire for EL, the coordination is beautiful. And you can see them just pick a target and eliminate it. Skell looks like he's the next one on the menu here, and he's a bit exposed. So look, one shot, two shot, they're just focusing him down.
Yeah, everyone is just going to pick one target, and there goes Skell as well. It is now a 2v, what is this, 5?
5 left.
Oh man, D-Juice also joins the fray of dead tanks.
Yep.
As does Grits, and now it is Itis left alone with his autoloader, but that's not going to stay alive for much longer. Another very, very quick victory for EL Gaming in set number 2. It doesn't even seem like it matters whether on attack or defense. They're just kind of getting at each other here.
Yeah, I think that's going to change when we go into map 2, but 4 steps, I mean, that was as brawly as you can get, but the focus fire was incredible, and Newman was like the unsung hero that we didn't even talk about that much. He was the only one who actually ran that 25 ton on EL Gaming's composition and was just able to sit back and just fire round after round after round. And then when he was done and he was, on reload, he died, but it didn't matter. He did his damage already. They already had that advantage from taking those tanks out earlier. And you could just see, even when I point out Skell was exposed for a second, and then everyone just focuses him down and then moves on to the next target, moves on to the next target. It's like I'm not even watching 7 players play. It's like I'm watching one person with 7 tanks under his control. Like, the team is united, and we're seeing that focus fire work really well.
Absolutely, and I mean, that's the kind of play that we could expect from EL Gaming, obviously, from having watched them all last season. They are a team that is very accurate, and they are on point. When they want to, they have an objective, they go for that objective, and we were able to see that very clean cleanups all around. Can't give them an inch, man. They will take that mile.
No, it's exactly the case. And I think what Team Efficiency was trying to do was get their own inch, by taking out one of the tanks early. It didn't happen. I really like the idea of putting D-Juice on the lightweight because, you do have to have, one tier 8 tank or 2 9s in your composition. But, you run with that lightweight, it gives you a lot of extra vision. It lets you set up so they don't get blindsided like what happened to them in game 1.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he was killed in basically no time at all because he was spotted. They were like, well, he's got a T-54 lightweight. That'll get down in like 2 shots. Blow it up, move on to the next one.
All right. Well, that was a very quick. Steps also is the map that EL is just super good at.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that they're the ones who chose the map.
Probably.
Not Team Efficiency. But heading into the second one, we are going on to Cliff.
That's right. It's one of our newer maps, and hopefully we'll get to take a little preview for you guys to take a look at. Even if we don't, it'll be fine because we'll show you guys in the game. But it's an interesting map. It reminds me of Mines a little bit. It's got a little bit of its own kind of waterfront, and it's a map that has its own tight areas with like rock formations, hence the name Cliff, but also side roads and other pathways that tanks can take. So it's similar to Mines and Lakeville in that there's alternate routes to the objectives. You don't actually have to push through one particular place.
And I wish we can show you guys this. Maybe we possibly will in a little bit. But there are the 2 objectives. One over by the waterside. Yeah. It's on the cliff itself where the road kind of bends. And then there's one that's straight ahead north. And
it's a bit isolated. So that's one of the other unique things about this map. We see a few maps like Ruinberg, for example, that have an objective like this, where one objective is almost off the map. So to get there, you have to travel so far, and there's not a lot of maneuverability around that point. If you get there, you kind of get stuck there. So, the map is loading. We're going to tell you guys a little bit more about it, I guess, once we get inside.
Great. All right, here we go. We're going to go into set number 3 on Cliff. Welcome to Cliff, everyone. This is EL Gaming versus Team Efficiency in set number 3. EL Gaming did take the first 2 games pretty easily, but we're going to have to see what Team Efficiency can do here. They are on the defense first, as they were in the first map.
That's right. We're actually going to see Team Efficiency doing this again, where they're running the STB1s. which are kind of a good all-around Japanese tank. And it's one of those tanks that we don't see all too often, but it's gaining more popularity. And we are going to see one RU-251 dejuice again on that speedy tier 8. And he's actually going up that cliff right now. And it looks like basically the way that we're seeing EL Gaming move with this composition is they're looking to brawl again. We'll see if Team Efficiency will allow that. They've got a nice defensive setup here.
I think they are actually. Just they're holding back a couple of tanks, but for the most part, it looks like it's just going to be another big brawl here too. Except they're going to use the terrain to their advantage, try to hide on the high ground, away from EL Gaming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so captivated by this game right now. Newman on the high ground as well. He's going to see if he can pick off their Safi. He is pretty low, right? And Griffs, careful.
He's got to be careful for sure. Again, Newman in a great position with his 25-ton. If he finds those tanks, if he actually can get a clear shot at them, he's got the potential for so much damage. And we see also Skell is in a really good position with his STB-1.
All right, you guys can see here Spring and Reflection on the WZ-120s. Those are basically the Chinese equivalent of the T-54s. And so, you know, we know that they are tried and true, good tanks. One thing I did notice is that EL Gaming does like to pick their Chinese tanks. I don't blame them.
That's true. You know, it's one of those pride things, I think, as well as they know how to use them, right? They're comfortable with them. All right, Safri over here on the 25-ton is the next target for EL. We'll see if they can find him. They know that he's back there, just don't know exactly what. It looks like they're not actually going to find him. They're going to try to swing around here for a surround, and they're going to go for these STBs.
You know, these games, the way that EL Gaming are trying to play, oh, Fox does take quite some damage there. But what I wanted to say was the way that they play this is that they don't even, it doesn't even seem that they want to capture the points. They're not really even going for it. Their main objective is to eliminate their opponent. Newman goes down very low, down to 18 HP, but he is still alive for now.
That's right. You know, you brought up such a good point earlier when you said hiding strategies. And, you know, earlier, or rather coming up later, the Immortals will face EL, so EL also can hide strategies like this if they're just going to fight the whole time. There's not a lot you could study except that they're being very aggressive.
Yes, and I mean, I guess you can learn how to get away from them, but
yeah.
Here you could just see that the shots are being fired and there are shells all over the place. Both teams just kind of jabbing at one another, and I mean, at this point, I feel like, what is the strategy here? What is their main objective?
Well, what we saw from Team Efficiency on this map was really cool, is they just kind of hid in the rock formations. Now, the advantage of that is it's harder to, you know, actually find where you are and eliminate you, but the disadvantage is you lose all mobility.
Guanren, that was a really good shot. Sorry to
No, it's
interrupt
fine,
you.
it's
wow.
fine. It was a good shot. And there's another one that's actually going to take out DJuice. But, you know, they lost their mobility, and once EL Gaming found out where they were sitting ducks, and they just got picked apart from afar. So things started out okay for Team Efficiency, but things just kind of went wrong. And now we're just going to see them get picked up.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, this team, EL Gaming, is just very good at picking one tank and picking them up. You can see on your screen here how well they are focus firing down. And yeah, Moth does not have a chance. He's pretty much surrounded, and there he goes. Spring takes that last shot, and EL Gaming goes and wins set number 3.
A much quicker sort of set of games that we were seeing today than what we saw yesterday, or excuse me, I always do this, but last week on Thursday. It feels like it was just yesterday. But yeah, it's just aggression back to back. This time Team Efficiency was very defensive, but EL Gaming still found cracks in their armor, basically, and you know, found out where they were, and they were all kind of in those rock formations in the cliff itself that you talked about near the capture point. But when you're in that position, you have to you spend a lot of time setting up, so you have to, you know, push yourself into those perfect positions where you're blocked on both sides by rocks. You think you're sneaky, you're almost like a sniper, which you know, the STB tanks are good for that. But unfortunately, once you get found, there's not a whole lot of space to run with. You're not on steps. You can't just go, oh, he saw me, I guess I'll just drive away. You're kind of like, oh, I know I'm stuck in here. I'm trying to get out of this rock formation I just put myself in.
Well, you know, I'm wondering then, knowing that EL is so good at focus firing down tanks, do you think that Team Efficiency is grouping up on purpose so that it makes it more difficult for them?
I think they are, and I think they're, you know, they're trying to be in locations to where, you know, it's harder to actually just fight like that and brawl like that. Now that we're switching sides, though, because again, the format has changed. You guys probably know this by now, right? But just to remind you, we're switching sides again. We'll see actually how Team Efficiency is going to play now that they're on the attack. Are they going to actually just meet EL and try to fight them? It's going to be tough.
I mean, so far, the way that things have been going, I'm kind of banked and say they probably will.
Yeah.
It really just doesn't seem like either of the attacking teams are trying to take the objective of capping a base point, but rather going and blowing up their opponent instead.
Yeah, I think that's basically what we're seeing from these two teams. I don't even think this is what we're going to see at all when we go to our Japanese match coming up next. I think it's going to be totally different. But yeah, it's just boom, boom, boom. We're going to get this done in 3 minutes. It's like they changed the timer to 10 minutes. I heard they changed it to 3 minutes because these games are being insanely fast. And
they added 3 minutes. I think they didn't get the memo. They added 3 minutes, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
But, all right, we're going to have to see how Game 4 unfolds. We are ready to get into the game. Here we go. Set number 4, EL Gaming versus Team Efficiency. This is the second game on Cliff, and EL Gaming leading 3-0.
That's right. So let's take a look at these tanks. We're going to see what I like to call the lorries coming in here with Fox and Reflection, those tier 9s, and otherwise running with their objects as you would expect. And they're like, oh, we don't use T-54 lightweights anymore. Now we use object 140s. That's how we play. But on the side of Team Efficiency, they brought 250Bs, which means they're kind of going to be a little bit more of a burst composition because those only have 4 rounds. And they're a little bit quicker than their tier 9 counterparts. But I do worry about this because if they don't burst down again, what EO Gaming has brought to the table, obviously that reload time is pretty killer.
Sure is. Now, here we go. Like we said, I did think that Team Efficiency was going to go ahead and just face EL straight on. EL already going to try to do this focus fire thing and kill off tanks. Dexter taking a lot of damage already. He is super far away, but the high ground from EL Gaming is really giving them the advantage here.
Oh man, Newman again doing so much damage from safety. Death Skies goes down here to Fox as well. And as you guys could see, I mean, the tank composition for Team Efficiency has walked right into a trap. They don't have much armor at all with this composition, and they're just going to get shredded to pieces.
They do not, and so many tanks are going down. I can't even call them all out for you, but here Skell is getting chipped away once more. D-Juice is going to be the last one left with Safi, and these two AMX 50Bs, they're still waiting on reloads right now as well, and so as EL come, they're like sharks, man. They're just gonna come and surround these two poor tanks. They can't even do anything. Look at all the damage D-Juice is taking. Safi, what you gonna do, man? But sit there and die behind that tree.
Oh, it's just basically cold-blooded murder. What you just saw right there, Susie.
I think that was not safe for work.
Yeah, that was not safe for work. Like, please. That might not, this VOD might not make it on YouTube. It might be against like the terms of and services. But no, seriously, this has been an incredible showcasing of EO Gaming's skill, and Team Efficiency just struggling to deal with it. What I would have liked to see is them run a big heavy tank, like maybe even an IS-7. Yeah, it sounds crazy on a map like Cliff, but if you're gonna fight like this, have one tank to absorb some damage, so maybe even show that tank first and absorb some of the focus fire, and have someone be in good position. Like we're seeing Newman every time. He's like the sniper in the clock tower with his 25 tons. Like we don't need 6 25 tons. We only need 1. We've got Newman. We're gonna bring our object 40s, and I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna do so much damage.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna reload from safety when it comes to that. But he just sits back and no one can touch him.
EL Gaming. I mean, you know, they showed us some games. They showed us some weaknesses last week. For sure, and we were very surprised, like, wow, this is not the EL.
Also on different maps, too. That's
true. Today, this is the EL that I expected.
Yeah.
This is absolutely, you know, the way that these two teams are playing. I almost feel bad for Team Efficiency because they are playing against such a strong opponent for their very first round. But hey, you know what? What doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
That's right. And Himmelsdorf is going to be our next map, our third map for this series. And this is where EO Gaming had some problems with some of the aggressive strategies they were using. So we'll see if that actually ends up being the case here, or if Team Efficiency is just going to charge in on Himmelsdorf and go on a suicide run. We'll see.
Well, Himmelsdorf is more of a city kind of map, right? And we have seen AL Gaming like to use the railroad track area a lot more so than the corner fight that we often see with other teams. And so if we know this, I'm assuming Team Efficiency knows this, and how they're going to create their strategy, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it looks like they we'll have to see. I mean, I think EO Gaming is going to keep it standard. I'm not actually sure who's attacking first, which is really important in this case because if this is the match point for EO Gaming, any win will.
It looks like Team Efficiency is on the attack first.
Okay, so we'll have to wait and see what EO Gaming's aggressive strategy is going to be. But I think if Team Efficiency wins this game, and we go to the attack side. I think they'll play standard in this game because they just want to win it and go home, I think, at this point. But
they can't go home. They're playing the third set tonight.
They got to win it and take a little nap and then play the third set.
They need to eat dinner,
they're like, oh, we're really hungry. We got to beat this. But yeah, I feel like Team Efficiency's best bet is to not be aggressive like they were on the first two maps because Himmelsdorf is such a defense-oriented map. That's why, I even said a lot of the time last season before the meta change that the attacking side was almost favored because you get into such a great solid defensive position in that corner cap point when you've got the tiny little 12-ton there with you as well. But we'll see. I mean, this is a new meta. This is a new season. But yeah, I just feel like this map, there's so many different narrow streets where you can be in waiting. And I think EO Gaming is just going to set up to be like, all right, you're coming for us. We're waiting. We're defensive. We're looking through the the broken buildings. We're looking through the windows, and it might even be a shooting gallery if Team Efficiency tries to blow their way through.
It could be. I mean, I think we are going to expect to see Conquerors on this map like we did on Thursday. The Conqueror is the British Tier 9 heavy tank, and so that'll be exciting to see a new tank come up today. But I think the game is ready, so we're going to go ahead into game number 5. All right, guys, welcome to Himmelsdorf. This is the third map of this game, this match. EL Gaming versus Team Efficiency. This is match point. If EL wins this next game, that is going to be it. They take home the 3 points, and they are on the defense.
Well, something that's really cute I want to point out basically right away, I think cute's the only way to describe it, is we're going to see D-Juice again on the T-54 lightweight. And you might be thinking at home, why in the world would you run a T-54 lightweight in this composition? It's not going to fight. It's a city map. It's because he can rush up to the courtyard and get vision very quickly and try to figure out what the formation of EO Gaming is going to be. In fact, it looks like, just looking at the minimap right now, he's actually rushed up to the castle, which is going to give him another different vantage point to try to figure out how Team Efficiency can best set up versus the defensive EL. Now we're seeing basically IS tanks on both sides as well, big heavy tanks, beefy tanks, what you'd expect to see. We do see 150B, a mouse even, which is it's more like a rat. That tank is big and and chunky.
I didn't know rats are big and chunky.
They are.
Gross. Anyway.
Compared to mice, I'd say.
Oh, that's true. Okay. All right, and so yeah, it looks like EL Gaming, they're gonna go towards capture point number 2. That's what they're expecting. They think Team Efficiency is gonna come down to that corner point. As I'm sure they assume that they went up to the castle side and around. And they're right. You could see that Team Efficiency is going to try and head over to that section. Do they know that EL Gaming is there waiting for them, though?
I mean, they got some vision of that, obviously, from taking this route, but they don't know the exact formation. And it's going to be very difficult to actually ascertain that. This is exactly what our observer is showing right now, is D-Juice is constantly taking a look to see if he can find any sort of movement, if he gets off his sixth sense. Black is right where he needs to be with the IS-4.
He is just waiting, just in case that there is a tank that's going to come in and try to cap that point. And there it is. Dexta is going to be on the other side of this corner.
Black, in really good position to hit Dexta, though. And that's one of the scary things is if you actually get hit while you're in there.
Ooh.
His hold down is not perfectly positioned, so he actually has to leave. He takes 2 shots, and in the grand scheme of things, this is very important because it's burning time for Team Efficiency on their attack. Even with our new format, every second matters. And he also is burning health as well. I mean, he's not going to be able to take abuse forever either. But a solid setup here for EL. And they've already predicted that Team Efficiency was going to play standard, which I didn't. I thought they might do something really crazy. But they're actually playing pretty standard, and the response is good. And we already saw that this is the same player that we saw last season doing the same block. It's Black. They're like, Black, get in your position, do your job, stop that corner cap as best as you can.
Yeah, and Black, I mean, he's doing a great job. He was able to take shots onto Dexter, and Dexter couldn't fire back. Black is still at 100% health right now. So it is a lot. Okay, this is the first slow game that we're seeing tonight. We've actually passed the 7-minute mark.
That's right.
Look at that. Dexter seems like he's trying to figure out what he needs to do to cap this. And the rest of the team, if you look on the mini-map, everyone just kind of is at a standstill. I think they are probably trying to weigh their options and perhaps wait for EL to make a move before they do.
Yeah. Ooh, look at this. We're actually seeing one of the Object 140s break off from the main group here. It's Ma, in fact. Ooh. He's going to threaten the capture point at the railroad tracks, and that's going to force a reaction out of EL Gaming. Now, this type of strategy is, I feel a lot more effective. He's even checking the courtyard before he does it, but it's a lot more effective with our new time because you have a lot more time to work with. You don't have, if you have 3 minutes less than this, suddenly we're at 3:20 and there's like no threat of this.
I do worry for him though, because there is the IS-7 waiting over there. You see Nice all the way in the back of that map. In the mini map, you can see that the IS-7 and the Mouse, they're sitting there facing capture point number 1. So if if Ma just shows his little head, I think he might be able to be taken out very quickly.
That's right. It's always a scary thing when you're that one tank moving alone in a city map, because any street that you go down, obviously there could be someone waiting. Look at this. I mean, it's exactly what I'm talking about.
Everyone is just aiming for something. Everyone's waiting for something to move so that they can shoot at it.
I thought you were getting philosophical for a second there, Susie. Like everyone's waiting for something. Philosophy here at World of Tanks. D-Juice again is positioned himself to where he could see if there's any sort of movement, and he also could threaten Black if Black wasn't positioned perfectly, but Black is positioned perfectly. He's always checking here with that lightweight because he's so speedy that he could maybe, just take a shot and then move back, but there's no visible sign of Black in there. He's just totally hidden. He's not exposed.
But look at this. We've passed the 5-minute mark now, and EL Gaming 100% full health. The only member on Team Efficiency that has taken any damage is Dexter, and this is an incredibly patient game by both parties. By the time it hits about 4 minutes, 3 minutes 30, I'm going to say Team Efficiency needs to do something, or else the timer will just run out and EL Gaming will take that win.
Yeah, I mean that's basically. I think that's a pretty accurate assessment of the situation. I feel like with a new timer, you could say about, especially because we've got larger tanks that don't move as quickly. What I used to say about like 3:20 is you kind of have to be where your position is, or you're going to end up, being in a situation where you probably have to win by elimination, not by capture. I'd say we're kind of at 4:30 with the new meta. Is when you get to that point, it's like if you're not on that point or you're not threatening it, you're going to have to move, and it's much more difficult to do in a map like Himmelsdorf than say a map like Steps. Or even Mines, so. Okay,
slowly but surely, we have Safi and Skill. I think they're going to go ahead and join their friend Ma over to see if they can take that first, the first base capture.
Okay, this is really interesting.
Ooh, but Nice is going to see them.
Let's see.
Quietly camped behind this building here, seeing if he can get some sort of shot out. I'm sure he sees them. I see them.
Well, the thing is, if they threaten a 3-man cap on capture point 1, that'll be really cool because it might force some of the tanks that are, especially Black, number 1, to move off of capture point 2, where they have a few tanks in position to threaten that one as well, and they even have D-Juice there who can come in there much more quickly than they would expect. They don't know where D-Juice is right now, so they're not really sure, and he's a very quick tank that can get into that capture point. It doesn't matter what tank you are, it's still going to capture the same rate, so you can just run in there maybe, and then also do a very threatening capture there. But they need to move soon, and we're talking about 3 minutes left now.
Yes, it is 3 minutes left. Nice does take a shot. I think it's amazing how Nice and Spring have just sat there the entire time, just waiting for a member of Team Efficiency to show their head. I think this is it. They're going to have to go in and...
Oh, they're actually also moving towards capture point 2
they are.
Instead of moving towards 1. I think I think their Object 140 down there that's near capture point 1 is kind of ascertained the situation. They're going to try to kill Black here, but Black has so much coverage.
Well, Black knows that there are 2 tanks over there. The Sixth Sense has gone off. And yeah, Dexta is going to take some damage though. Okay, here they come. They're going to try to come in, cap perhaps the E100, take the damage?
He's going to try, but he gets reset so many times. It's going to be really tough to pull this off. I feel like that if D-Juice came down, it'd be scarier, but Grift is in here now too.
All right, here we go. The IS-4, the IS-7, the E100, all these tanks just going to sit in there and try to capture this base. They only have 1 minute and 55 seconds left.
And Nice is not moving. He's not fooled by this. He's going to hold his position to block capture point number 1 as well. And Black just needs to line up his shots. And as long as he can do that for another 1 minute and 45 seconds, then the win is theirs.
Absolutely, and he does it. I mean, the accuracy on this guy is incredible. These 3 tanks, they're just going to try to wiggle themselves to capture the base, but I don't think that's going to work. Guanren and Newman are now going to try to finish off the job. Dexta, very low in health, 390 HP left.
It's a very desperate attempt that we saw there, but you know, that's the 8th tank, that's the clock working against you in a game like this when, you know, you don't have a good position. You have to try something, even if it's not optimal.
All right, well, Skell and Death Skies do go down. Now it is definitely EL's game. The 2 tanks who are near the base capture are also very, very low in health. And at this point, I don't think there's anything that Team Efficiency can do.
No, definitely not, Susie. 50 seconds to go as well. Down goes Dexta. A really cool strategy and a nice composition, and I can't even properly tell you how much I like, you know, running D-Juice on the T54 lightweight because it gives them so much more mobility and it gave them so many more options. They just couldn't find a way to use it.
All right, well, there goes D-Juice on that lightweight. He goes down. Safi and Ma, the last 2 left, very, very low in HP. 700 between the 2 of them. Ma goes down, and there we go. EL Gaming goes and wins the entire set. The score is going to be 5-0 and 3 points to EL Gaming. Starting off the season very strong.
With their win on Thursday as well, this puts them currently in 1st place in the rankings. And if they win actually versus the Immortals later on tonight, they'll actually go way, way ahead of everyone else because they played more matches. But if they win all of them, then they're going to be way up there in the rankings. A scary and terrifying thought, always trying to catch EO Gaming. That's what Karen Tigers was all about last season, just trying to catch them while he's on their coattails.
They almost did it.
Yeah.
They almost did it. So you know what?
Close.
We're going to have to see if Karen Tigers can do it again by beating B Gaming next. But wow, that was a very, very fast set.
A very fiery series. The last one, of course, the most slow and technical one on Himmelsdorf, but still. EO Gaming is not messing around, and Team Efficiency is also showing that they've changed their style up a little bit. They're being a little bit more aggressive.
They are.
In the past, we saw them play a little bit more of a slower style and also a more position-based style, kind of like what we saw them do on Defense on Cliffs. But yeah, they've changed their style a little bit. They're a little bit more aggressive.
I wonder what they're going to take home with, from this loss today. Especially playing, like I said, I keep saying this. They play against EL Gaming. This is the best team in this Gold Series, and a loss to them day number 1, I don't think is going to be too much of a blow. But on that note, as they're studying this, and you guys probably need to go to the bathroom, so we're going to come back after a 10-minute break, and we will see you back with the Karen Tigers versus B Gaming.